Over the last 10 years, the Potter's House and Bishop T.D. Jakes have been known for a level of ministry that brings change and restoration to countless lives. But the Potter's House has also been a place people can turn to during times of need and crisis. With 30,000 members, the Potter's House set out to make a difference in the Dallas-Fort Worth community on multiple fronts through working with the homeless, abused women, those suffering from substance abuse, and those behind bars.
But I was in a cell doing life, looking at the walls, closing my eyes and opening them, and I was still locked up. But guess what? I'm a Puritan.
Potter's House has proved to be not just a social and economic engine for the southern sector and all of Dallas, and a beacon of hope worldwide, and one of the most powerful religious, charitable, and inspirational forces of change in America. It's also, simply put, one of our city's most reliable safety nets.
In September 2001, Bishop Jakes was honored by being placed on the cover of Time magazine. It was only days before terrorists shattered American life as we knew it. An American seeking comfort called on Bishop Jakes.
I was really grief-stricken by it. Being a person who ministers to hurting people, which is exactly what Time pointed me out to be, to the nation, I suddenly recognized that God had put me on the cover of Time not to give me an attaboy, but to say to the nation, here's somebody that I've anointed to minister to hurting people, and I'm getting ready to take you through a painful experience. Now call him. No weapon! No weapon formed against you shall prosper.
In December 2004, the world watched in unbelief as a massive tsunami struck Southeast Asia and Eastern Africa. The members of the Potter's House were moved with compassion and donated over $100,000 to UNICEF. It was the largest donation the group had received from a faith-based organization. Again, the waters came crashing in, but this time it was on our soil along the Gulf Coast. Hurricanes Katrina and Rita ravaged Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. And again, the Potter's House did not hesitate to respond. Partnering with groups like World Vision and the World Children's Fund, the Potter's House sent truckloads of food, clothes, toiletries, and other supplies to hard-hit areas. But within days, hurricane victims were making their way to Dallas.
They were dirty, they were smelly, they were afraid, they were traumatized. And we were hugging and crying and walking through the facilities with the mayor and trying to see what could be done, really trying to make a difference.
The Potter's House worked with the city and other organizations to meet the needs of victims with housing, medications, and other basic necessities.
But the only word I can really come up with is thanks. And I want to thank Bishop Jakes. I want to thank the people of Dallas in particular. It's a beautiful apartment they provide us with. And hopefully we can go back home one day. But until that day, we call this home. I want to say thanks.
The Potter's House also hosted a benefit concert with proceeds going to relief efforts.
It was just a breath of fresh air, you know, to see Bishop reach out to our region and sending trucks and sending supplies. You know, people were lined up saying, thank Potter's House, thank Bishop Jakes. He's a real man of God. At a time that Katrina come through and almost took hope, you know, those trucks and those supplies gave hope.
Almost simultaneously, Bishop Jakes led a delegation of church workers, choir members, medical staff, and partners to Nairobi, Kenya for a missions trip. Bishop Jakes led a 2-day crusade that attracted over 300,000 people each day. But the intent of the trip was to also meet some of the daily needs of Kenyans, namely food, water, and medicine. U.S. doctors and nurses worked side by side with medical staff from Nairobi's Melchizedek Hospital. They treated 6,000 people in just days. In fact, Melchizedek recently dedicated the T.D. Jakes wing of their facility. It includes a maternity ward, operating room, and intensive care unit. In Kenya and other parts of sub-Saharan Africa, safe, clean drinking water is hard to find, especially in the rural countryside. People use the same water source for cooking, bathing, and livestock, and that causes numerous waterborne illnesses that can be deadly.
For 15,000, sometimes more, depending on how deep it is, sometimes less. You can dig a well that will feed 2,000 families for an entire generation with fresh water. That doesn't take care of the food problem, but in a way it does, because then they can plant food, the livestock can drink water, and it helps to meet their needs. Generally, they build a school there, they stop wandering, they stay there. It affects how the girls are treated, because the women generally travel for miles to get water.
The Potter's House and its partners financed the digging of several wells where they were desperately needed. Also now, a 15-kilometer pipeline has been opened to deliver water to thousands. In addition, the Potter's House is addressing educational needs in a Kenyan slum. There, students now have a computer lab. It is a first for some of Kenya's poorest. Back at home, Bishop Jakes has been a longtime advocate for affordable housing through his involvement with local Habitat for Humanity projects. And that commitment has continued. The Potter's House has sponsored several Habitat for Humanity homes. And continuing the emphasis on affordable home ownership, the Potter's House has partnered with area agencies to build a 25-acre gated community for seniors called the Potter's House at Primrose.
I have been helping here at the Potter's House Primrose, and in fact that's where I live. I live at the Potter's House Primrose. Potter's House Primrose is a nice facility, and we're working with keeping it nice and all. There are a lot of nice events that we do have here.
In addition, plans are also in the works for Capella Park, a planned development of 1,200 homes, townhomes, and condominiums with a variety of market rate housing. From Dallas to the Gulf Coast to Southeast Asia to Nairobi, the Potter's House is dedicated to making a difference in the lives of all people. And that dedication continues with the establishment of an emergency relief fund for even quicker responses when needed.
I just want to thank God for you being such a true man of God, that you exemplified the Word of God, not just through preaching, but you actually got exemplified by deeds and stuff. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart and from the people of Louisiana, we appreciate everything that the Potter House has done on today.
The Potter's House, there for you then, here for you now.